Hello again. Okay, we're going to start up the third and final video in this start to finish series that I'm doing for November. And in the previous two videos I colored up little Wishes Wryn from TiddlyInks. And now I'm going to be putting together the actual card using her, and I kind of showed the papers I based the colors of her off of this Yuletide paper pad. It's a little 6x6 by We Are Memory Keepers. And thanks again to my friend Lisa for the awesome birthday gift. I love it. And what I especially loved, I love this print in it. Ever since I saw the sneak peeks for the line, I think back in summer CHA, I love this tree. So of course, you know, the first thing out, I wanted to use that. And that is why I cut down an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper into a 5 by 7 card. Because I wanted to really take advantage of the height of those trees and show off a lot of them. So that's why I went with a bigger card. Plus I printed her out kind of large, so the scale will all work together, I think, quite nicely. Okay, so out of the paper pad I pulled a variety of papers. Of course the trees were my first ones. And then I wanted to get some red, and that red and green in there. And this I'm actually going to be cutting apart, at least using this for my sentiment, I think, and maybe this border if I fit it in. But, so starting off, I'm just going to use this wood grain, the red wood grain, and use it as the first layer against that white so it will really pop. And I'm just giving myself a mark, and I'm just eyeballing it. I do most of the time. I'm not a stickler for exact measurements. So, you know, I'm just giving a little mark and slice away. And I'm not going to be seeing much of this red, so I didn't care whether the print ran horizontal or vertical. So I'm just going to grab my little creamy brown just to knock out some of that white, the core of that paper. Get that on there. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab my handy dandy little tape runner, get some adhesive on the back of this. And stick that down. And you'll notice, you know, because I'm using a 6x6 pad and it's a 5 by 7 card, I've got a gap down here. And I know I'm going to be keeping her as a block. So that's a nice little way to hide the gap that this can create, because I'm going to use this little piece just to finish it off along the bottom. So cut that down, and I have a tendency to hold on to scraps and stuff, but I will be able to say proudly, this size scrap I can toss. So that's just going in the garbage. But a lot of things I hang on to quite a bit. Anything that I think is really usable for a card size. So that can be some pretty small pieces, but that I will let go. I could snip this off, you know, to line right up, but since it's going to get hidden anyway, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to overlap them. Get some adhesive on there. And notice, you know, that grain is going a different direction, and if this was going to show much, that would really bother me, but I'm going to be covering up most of it with that tree print. I just wanted a little separation between this gray and the white so it would pop a little bit better. So I'm just going to see a sliver of that red, so that's why I don't even care about the print, which way it's running on there. So now next I'm going to cut my trees, and again just eyeballing it, giving myself a mark. And then I'm just going to use my little ink pad to ink the edges a bit. And I went with the creamy brown because it matched the light brown in the paper. That's just, you know, I could have used a darker or any color, but I just liked how it matched back and was a neutral. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue that on. Just giving myself even spacing, top and left and right. I'm not going to worry about the bottom because she's actually going to be really low along the card there, and we're not even going to see the trees down there. So now next I'm going to cut her, and I think I'm going to move her far to the left. So I'm just going to trim really close to her there, little ribbon. Yeah, I think that'll work. So, flip that over. Give myself a little mark. Trim that off. That's why I wasn't pulled that blue when we colored it in the last video, the blue-green. It's going to work out just fine. Okay, so I got that. And I think, let's see how much, I got a lot of that. I'm even going to trim tighter around her, because I want to really play up that paper back there. That's pretty close there. Okay, so now what I also think I'm going to do is I want to bring this down a lot further, but her head is back here. So for that, I actually will grab out, instead of the guillotine blade of my little cutter, I want this guy. See if I can do this on camera so you guys can see it. Okay, I think that'll work. So I know my blade cuts in this channel here, so I decide how much of her head I want kind of popping out of the frame there. I think that looks good. So I'll start up top and just pull it a little bit, and I keep checking it so I don't cut into her, and that's good. And then I'll start from this side and just cut right up to her head there. So there I've got, you know, straight cuts on either side of her head. And now I'll just grab my scissors and finish off trimming her out. So I'm, you know, avoiding having to totally fussy cut image out, but I'm also getting a little bit of that interest of her breaking the plane of kind of the paper that's containing her. And then I just, because my blade in that little guy is a little dull, I'm just going to get rid of those feathers. I gotta get some replacement blades on that, but I don't use it a whole lot. Most of the time I'm only using that little cutter for this technique anymore. Okay, make sure I'm still in frame here. Okay, so now we've got her cut down, so we're seeing a lot more of that tree. And I think I'm going to keep her right along the bottom so we only see the same amount of red that's here on the sides down below her. I'll go ahead and ink with the same creamy brown. Just to add continuity to the whole design. Okay. Now, I have this greens and red stripe that I want to bring a little bit of, you know, behind her back there. So all I'm going to do is cut a bit off. I'm not even measuring. I just want it the same width, or length, I mean, as her little panel. So mark that off. Trim it up, throw the little piece away. Ink the 3 sides. I'm not going to worry about the one that'll be layered with Wryn. And then I'll just put a bit of adhesive on the back side of her. And put that, decide how much of the stripe I want showing, and I think that's good. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. Okay. So that brings a little bit more color onto the card. There, okay. And I'm going to keep her pretty flat because I'm going to be layering the sentiment and the embellishments, and I don't want to make it too bulky. So just put that on there. And I've left a lot of white space, you'll notice, and I'm not concerned about that because I know I'm going to create kind of a cluster in here that's going to cover up a lot of this white. Okay, so out of this sheet of paper, I'm going to be using the Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas as my sentiment. It's quick, it's easy, it saves me from having to dig out a sentiment, stamp and, ink it all up and figure out where I'm going to put it. It was there, it was cute, so why not use it? Just trim that out. Okay. So let's see how that fits. It's going to be a little tight there. So what I'll do, trim it a little bit on this side where I can. It's already pretty close to the S over there. So I'm just going to take off a bit of that side. Okay, that's better. That's much better. Alright, so I have that. I know I'm going to keep it over there. Ink it up. But I'm not going to glue it down yet because I know I want to layer some things over and under it. And I just got to figure out all of that before I actually put it together. So I have this very cool snowflake die cut. It was part of my birthday present from Lisa too. Thanks, Lisa. So I don't know, where it came from, how, if she cut it out herself or what, but I liked it for this. And now I just got to figure out how it's going to work into the design. I think probably like that, actually. Because I don't want to lose too much of it. Just take some off of the side over there, I think. So it'll go about in there, I think. Okay, then I also have, just pulled from the stash, this October Afternoon. It's a little last year's line, the holiday style. Their flour sack. It's got a bunch of little die cuts and stuff. And I pulled out a few that I thought kind of matched the colors that I was working with this We Are. I'm wondering how. See, I think that's just a little too big. something like that's going to work a lot better. There, and then probably use this little green piece up here. That might be it. I don't want to overcrowd things. Okay, so I think that's it for the little die cuts. So we'll have those. And then the other thing I pulled is, again, the holiday style. It's their little chipboard buttons, which I loved. And I really want to get this guy with the little kind of farmhouse button on there, because I thought it played nicely with the outdoor feel, and it gives her a sense of home without having an actual like little farm or something stamped back there behind her. So just kind of telling the story with the embellishments. Just going to open that up, and we'll just pop that out. Have that set in there. And I might also, you know, depending on as we put it together, I'm also toying with the idea of peppermint or two, just because peppermint and Coke chocolate go so well together. Okay, so I've got my general kind of layers figured out, so I can go ahead and start putting these down. So my first one down, obviously, is this little pink circle here. And I'm just going to get some glue on that. And kind of figure this out again. So it went about there, I think. Again, not being super precise. And then get my sentiment on. I'm going to open up my card so I can get right against that edge. There. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, flip that over, and cut off that extra. You know what, I'm going to do that first. Oops, did a little rip. Guess what? Not going to matter because I'm covering it up with that sentiment. I should have done this first. Okay. So I've got that straight cut along the edge of the card. Missed a little pink edge. There we go. Put this back on. Happy, happy, happy. It's all good. Okay. So next, I've got my big snowflake. That'll go about in there. I think this guy is going there. So I'll put the green on. Just tacking that down. And this guy, I'm going to use a glue pen. To just hit some key areas to help tack it all down. I'm not going to go too far on that side because I know it's going to get trimmed off a bit. So pretty. Okay. Very cool snowflake. Get that tacked down. And I'm thinking I'm going to use, well, maybe not that one for the center. I think I'm going to keep this one low. So this gives me the opportunity to pull in another button. And I think I'm going to go with the large size peppermint. So we'll use that on the snowflake there. We'll have this little guy finding a home. I kind of like him right there. And just being kind of obsessive compulsive about this. I want to do a third one to have my kind of visual triangle. So I think if I keep with the polka dots there, I can grab this green polka dot button, and let's see. That's not bad. Or, nope, I like it much better up here. Okay, so I'm going to get just my little cluster of buttons. They're going to stay primarily on that side with all the other embellishments that I put on, so nothing wrong with that. Okay, so let's see what I have going on. I think I'm going to want some red twine. At least for the peppermint up there. So we'll just peel off the back and pop out the holes. Okay. Just put this through. I like to finish off my buttons. And this one I'm going to finish off with a bow. Okay. This is a little harder to do on camera when I got this right in front of my face, but I think I'll be able to get it. There we go. Perfect. Now I just fiddle with it till I got it the size that I like. Okay. Trim the ends and stick that on right there like that. And I will keep it the red on this one, probably on all three. So pop out the little holes again. And now this one I'm not going to actually tie anything. I'm just going to string that through to add a little bit of red onto that green there. And the nice thing with that button being pre-adhesive, it'll kind of stick itself down until, because I've got, I've put a lot of gunk on there, I am going to reinforce it with an extra glue dot just to make sure it stays where I want it to. And to keep the thread there as well. Okay, so we like this guy kind of down here. And now the great debate. Do I lose some of the picture to thread the button? And I think so. I think I'm going to pop out those holes because I want it to look like a button instead of just a little round chipboard piece. So I'll do the same thing there with the red. But you could certainly just glue it right down the way it is, and there would be nothing wrong with that. Trim that off. And again, reinforce it with another glue dot. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. You can still tell It's that little barn or farmhouse thing, or trees in the background, which is what I was going for. All the little flyaways from that twine. I'm going to put it right down there. Okay. So, I'm going to trim off this before I get too far ahead of myself. Got a nice little cluster going there. And I'm just going to finish it off with some handy dandy pearls. These are the snow pearls from Kaisercraft. And we'll just sprinkle them on there to kind of give it the sense of snow falling. And there's really not a lot of rhyme or reason to this. It's just wherever you want them. Though I do stick with odd numbers. They're just more pleasing to the eye. So if, 8 is good, 9 is better kind of thing. So I've got 4 on there right now. Let's pull another large one close to that guy, I think. A medium-sized one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. 8. 9. Oh, I'm going to go for a lot on this one because I want a few more down here. Let's go 10. One more. Let's throw this guy right next to him. There we go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Perfect. And that is a finished little card. Nothing too fancy, but I've got my trees, which I love. Gives her the sense of being outdoors. We've got the wood sign, again, kind of reinforces that. Our little farmhouse down there, giving her just alludes to her country home. So, you know, it's just what I enjoy, what I get out of making cards and stuff, is seeing what kind of story you can tell in one shot. So that's her little Wishes Wryn is her story today. I hope you enjoyed this. It feels so good to be back to making the videos, and I definitely am going to try to be much more consistent and have another one start to finish in December as well. So, like I said, thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.